Caladesi. The derivation for this beautiful name has never been determined. Was it called this by ancient tribes whose burial and ceremonial grounds evidence that they were the first humans to walk the island paths? Or maybe it was called Caladesi for a fisherman who operated a seasonal fish rancho in the frontier days of Florida? No one knows for certain. What is evident is that Caladesi's location and attributes have been utilized by people in every century since the first people arrived. The native people venerated and buried their dead here. The Spanish conquistadors used barrier islands as locations for encampment while preparing for treks into the mainland in search of wealth and fame. Subsequent to the arrival of European settlements in this hemisphere, Caribbean and Cuban fishermen established seasonal fishing ranchos on Caladesi's shore. Spanish, British, and federal military ships anchored in Big Pass to utilize the island as a staging area for resupply of water and food and as a place for sea-weary soldiers to rest and recuperate. Hunting parties raided the barrier island bird rookeries, captured turtles, hunted deer, and gathered shellfish. Pinellas pioneers called the island Hog Island for the herds of pigs kept there to fatten until roundup time in the cooler months of the year. Even when motivated by the necessity of hunger, everyone who came to Caladesi admired her towering slash pine trees, ancient live oaks, acres of mangrove forest, clear, clean water and beaches, all teeming with wildlife, especially sea life and beautiful birds. Caladesi's charms captivated one man so entirely that he chose to make it his lifelong home. Swiss immigrant Henry Scharer homesteaded on the bayou at Big Pass in 1888, marrying Kate McNally in a moonlight ceremony in the palm grove near the island home. In February of 1895, a daughter, Myrtle, was born. Island living was intrinsic to this child, and forever Caladesi Island was her heart's home. A lifetime of living later, at 87 years of age, Myrtle wrote, "Yesteryear I lived in paradise," as a memoir for pioneer life and as a tribute to her beloved father, Henry Scharer. In 1915, Myrtle Scharer married Herman Betts. Herman was a talented boat builder and carpenter. In 1928, Myrtle and Herman welcomed a daughter, Marion. Until Marion was 6 years old, the Betts family remained living at the Caladesi homestead. When Marion was ready to attend school, the family moved to Dunedin. Attending school in Dunedin in the 1930s, Marion met Marge Armston. The two youngsters became best friends. Their growing-up adventures included frequent visits to Caladesi.
I heard about the island, and Mrs. Betts, my friend's mother, Mrs. Myrtle Betts, was legendary in her own time, and that's for sure, and has remained legendary. She would row us across the bay to the island, but I only heard about the island in the early friendship. Early on in the second grade, they would talk about the island, and I thought it sounded like Paradise Island somewhere in the remote South Seas or something. Well, there it was just across our bay, and I finally got to go to the island, and Mrs. Betts rowed us across. It was a 3-mile row. She was very strong, and it took maybe an hour to get across the bay, but we would go on a calm day. My mother's and father's friends used to say, "You mean to say that your mother and dad will allow you to go across the bay in the rowboat with Mrs. Betts?" And I said, if I weren't safe with Mrs. Betts, I would not be safe with anybody, because she was a very strong person and very safe person to be with indeed. So I remember that so clearly, going across the bay, being rowed across the bay by my friend's mother.
Another person is essential to any story of Caladesi Island. In 1964, Mayor of Dunedin, Gerald Rem, organized a civic campaign that resulted in Caladesi Island being preserved as a state park in 1967. Without Jerry Rem's direct assistance in every phase of the lengthy and difficult negotiations, it is unlikely that Caladesi would have been preserved. The people of Florida are indebted to him for this. By 1968, a 60-foot fire tower was installed as a feature in the new park. This attraction afforded a wonderful place for lofty observations. However, in 1982, the fire tower had to be removed due to safety issues. The foundation for the tower has remained dormant for 30 years. Soon the Caladesi Discovery Center will be built on the old fire tower site. The structure will be an open-air, ADA-compliant, interpretive facility. It will feature hands-on exhibits where park guests can investigate and learn about aspects of Caladesi's history, habitat, and wildlife. The Friends of the Island Parks Incorporated is the citizen support group that is raising the funds to build this simple yet useful structure for Caladesi. At the Caladesi Discovery Center, every person will have an opportunity to experience the nature of the real Florida. There are many people that acted to preserve Caladesi in the past so that we can protect it into the future. Dedicated park managers, rangers, staff, and volunteers serve daily to maintain the habitat, wildlife, and history of our treasured Caladesi. Long live Caladesi Island!
As I say, one of the great gifts of my life is having the experience of Caladesi Island when I was a little girl growing up. One of the remarkable gifts of my life.